Welcome to all of our guests to Getting Started Website Building 101. I am Jeff Rosick from WordPress.com. I'm in Boulder, Colorado. I just want to thank everyone who took the time to register and join us for this workshop, for this webinar. We're really excited to work with you and help you get started using WordPress.com. Just a couple real quick notes. We are recording this webinar and we'll share it later via YouTube so that others can watch. I'd like to encourage our guests to use the Q&A feature in Zoom, not chat, but Q&A. And my colleague Kate and I will be in there answering your questions, and we will save some for the end of the workshop that we will ask Win. And with that, I'm very thrilled to introduce Kate behind the scenes with myself in the Q&A, and I'm very thrilled to introduce my colleague Win to get us started today. Win.
All right, perfect. So my name's Win. I'll be helping you out today. I'll share my screen now. And I'm calling in from Denver, Colorado. I've been with AutomaticWordPress.com helping people with their sites for going on 3 years now. And before that, I was running a little website for a few years before joining WordPress.com. So let's jump right in. We've got 15 minutes. We'll go over kind of getting started, followed by 15 minutes of Q&A. And I might go kind of quick through this, but it's being recorded. So if there's anything that you want to reference later, just know that you'll have that recording to refer back to. So let's get started. I'm going to create a new site here. I thought it'd be fun to kind of create a site for my dog's lawn care business. So I'll help her set up a little website to get going. Bubba's Lawn Care is what I've called this. This is where you'll pick a domain name. So the name of your site, the name of your business. For this purpose, I'll just select the free domain. I'm going to use a premium plan, and my brand new site's being created. So we'll just give that a minute to be set up and go from there. All right, so we're dropped into the dashboard here. When you're first getting started, there will be a list of items that can help you get some of the main things set up. So, giving the site a name, creating a menu, editing the homepage, and then launching the site. So by default, the site's going to be private while you work on it. And one thing I like to do that I'm going to set up here to get started is I like to have the site in one tab and the dashboard in another, so I can kind of easily toggle back and forth between the two as I work on things. So let's go ahead and give the site a name. We'll title this Bubba's Lawn Care, for all your landscaping needs. So save that. And we'll go back to my home. And since we only have 15 minutes, I'm going to work through some of the main items within this site section over here on the left. So we'll start by going to pages. And this is going to be the structure of, we'll go back to pages here. This is going to be the structure of the site. So, we've got our home page, we've got a blog, we've got an about page, we've got contact. So you can add additional pages to your site from here. And you'll also notice there's a section for posts. And I like to explain that the difference between pages and posts are pages are kind of your static content. So your home, your about, your services, your contact page, and then posts are going to be dynamic and have a date associated with them. So if you're blogging on the site, you would create those as blog posts or articles, news updates, things like that. So let's go ahead and set up some structure here. We'll create a page for, let's do a page for services. So when you first create a new page, you'll be presented with some different layout options. So we see some about pages, some blog pages, contact pages, portfolio, and there's even a services section down here that we'll utilize. So you can take a look at some of these different options to pre-format your page. So I'm going to start with this one here for my services. So this will add that layout to the page, and then you can start to populate your own content. And since this is a lawn care business, I'll switch out some of these images by clicking on the image and then replace. And you can either upload from your media library or from your computer, or go into your media library to see previously uploaded images. So from here, I've got a couple images of the owner operator here, who I'll upload some images here so you can see those being added. And then while those are being uploaded, there's also a free photo library that I like to show people. So you can change this drop down at the top left to free photo library. And then we type in, lawn, and this will give us access to, we'll give that a second. I've got those images loading here, so we'll give that, might need to wait for those to fully upload here. Let's go back in there. So we'll go back into the free photo library, type in lawn. Let's try a different one. It seems to be, might be trying to, there we go. So I typed in grass, not, some different examples of grass. Let's try lawn one more time here. I'm not sure why there aren't any images of a lawn coming up, but anyway, we'll continue on here with some grass images. So you'll type a keyword in. Let's just go out of there completely. Not sure why the images aren't uploading there. So we'll go ahead and add one from our media library here. Let's go back out of here. Okay, I'm gonna just publish this page. I think I've got too many things going on at once here. Publish that page. Go into our media library from here. All right, so we'll just continue on with the tour here with some existing images. So if we go back into our list of pages, once this loads up, we'll go back into, well, services, we'll leave that in a good place. We'll add a page for gallery. And now instead of using one of those pre-built templates, we'll just use a blank template, a blank layout here. So we select blank, and this will give me kind of a blank canvas to work on this particular page with. So we can call this one gallery. And then you'll use this block editor to lay out each page. So, if you're starting with a block of text, you can use the paragraph block. Below that, say you need, an image. We can select the image block, go into the media library. There they are, they uploaded. So we'll select some of these different ones of our sole proprietor here. Start with a nice headshot. And then to scale this down, we can reduce the size there. Give us some info about this lawn care business's owner. Below that, we could then, have a gallery of images, select a few of those. And then along this right-hand side, there are some different settings specific to this block. So if we want things to be too wide, if we want these images to link anywhere, we can do that. And then there's also some settings here where we can make these images go full width. And then you'll just continue your way down the page, adding and stacking these different elements on top of each other. So now we'll publish our gallery page. Example, welcome text. All right. So now we can see that we're building out the structure of the overall site. We've got home, about, services, gallery, blog, and contact. And now if we go into our home page, you'll see that it's got kind of a pre-built template to help us get started. We can change that layout if we want, or we can continue with what's already there and just build off of it. So for example, you can click on these different elements, replace images. There's different settings on this right-hand side. So if you wanted a fixed background so the image stays in place as the site scrolls, you can do things like that. And then you'll just work on editing this page using these different plus signs to add elements throughout the page. Let's see here. There's one block I always like to show people is this cover block, which is added at the top. You can add, overlays to that. So if you wanted that to just be plain, a solid color, you could do that, or a slight overlay there. And then anytime you make changes, you'll want to press update at this top right to make those changes go live. So now you can see we've got Bubba's Lawn Care. with that image of the dog on the home page. So let's go ahead and let's just quickly see now that those images have uploaded. If I go back into this free photo library and just type in nature, it looks like I was kind of doing too much, trying to get as much squeezed into this 15 minutes as possible. But you'll type a keyword in here, you'll search for images that you want, and then you'll click on those and copy the media library, and then you can use those throughout your blog posts and throughout your pages. Cool, so let's continue on. We've got our structure laid out. This is where any blog posts will be published. Media, this is where you'll upload items and also access that free photo library. Comments are going to be anyone who leaves feedback on your posts or pages if you want. So if you write a new blog post about, 10 tips to keep your garden, looking nice this summer. Anyone who has thoughts on those, you can approve and moderate their comments from here. And then we'll take a look here though, before we go back into some pages at the customize section. So these are going to be some site-wide settings is the way I like to explain it. So for example, you can upload a logo if you have a logo for your site or your business. A site icon, that's going to be where we have the little WordPress logo up there at the top left. You can change that by uploading a site icon. This is also where we'll edit our menu. So you can see our menu over here on the right is our primary menu, but since we've added a page for services and gallery, we'll want to add those pages to our menu. So we click on those, which will add it to the menu. And then you can reorder your menu items. So say you want services to come up a little higher, same with gallery. We could move blog down, and you can also nest items. So if you wanted blog to be a submenu of gallery, or a common thing that I'll see people do is they'll have their main link to their blog, and then below that they'll have categories to the different blog submenu items. So you could have blog, and then you could have example A, B, and C all nested below the blog, the main blog here, which really just makes it easy for people to navigate around to the different pieces of content that you'll have on the site. But we'll go ahead and remove that for now. There's a social media menu. So different themes will have different menu locations. So for example, if we check this box for social media menu, it will add those icons up below the primary menu there. So that looks good. We've got our menu in a good place. We'll save that. Let's go ahead and add a site icon here just so you can see how that looks once added. This one looks professional, so we'll add that as our site icon. All right, so if we save that, and now if we refresh our site, you can see there's that site icon up there at the top tab there. Within this customize section, there's also a section for widgets. So these allow you to customize the footer and sometimes the sidebar within your site. So this current theme that I'm using just has a footer area. So let's go ahead and add some widgets. We'll add, a link to recent posts. So if someone gets to the bottom of the site, they can view recent posts. Another one I'll see people using pretty frequently is this contact info and map. So that would add, the location of this business as well as, the 3 most recent posts to the bottom of every page throughout the site. So we'll save that. And that's widgets. Homepage settings. This is where you can identify which page you want to be your homepage. You can also select whether you'd want to show your blog posts on your homepage. So if you have a blog, sometimes people want to just get right into the most recent posts right when someone comes to the site. And that's where you can set that. We'll leave that as is for now and click out of the customizer and back into our pages here. I know we're getting close on my 15 minutes here, so let's go back into our homepage real quick here. One thing I always like to mention too is you're working on the site. If you ever run into questions, you can always press this question mark at the bottom right and then contact us. And that'll direct you to an email or live chat support. So anytime you have a question or an issue or you're not sure of something, don't hesitate to pop that into live chat or email, and we'll get back to you with the answer there. Cool. So I know we're just about at the 15-minute mark. If we want to jump into Q&A, Jeff.
Yes, sir. Win. Thank you. First and foremost, thank you so much. I have to share, there was one or two comments. Wow, Win's fast. And I think that everyone attending, myself included, should not expect to be able to launch a site as quickly as Win just showed you how you can do. He does this day in, day out, of course. We asked Win to pick some highlights as he takes his own experience through the flow of creating a new site and getting it set up, and that's exactly what he did. So thank you so much, Win. We'll take a couple questions real quick, though. Thanks to Kate and for so many good questions coming in from our audience. We're going to continue to try to answer those in Q&A and also as a follow-up after today's webinar. So I picked out just a handful of questions that I thought would be fun to pose to Win. And again, we covered a lot of ground in a short period of time, and there's a lot of great questions, and we'll answer as many as we can. So Win, a couple general questions about setup and themes and pages and so on, and then I saved a couple pretty specific questions for you as well.
Perfect.
The first question is, when using a theme, are your layout options specific to the theme, or do you always have the default options that you showed?
So let's take a look at themes here, or let's actually open up a new page. You will see the page layouts regardless of the theme you select. So when you're looking for a theme, sometimes I like to suggest that you pay attention to where the menu is, the name of the business. You can see some of these have the name centered, where some have it over here to the left. But regardless of whichever kind of layout you pick from here, when you're going in to create a new page, you'll still be presented with these page level options. So you can still select, okay, on my about page, I want it to look like, this. And then you can add that regardless of what theme you select. So the theme is kind of the site-wide, and then the pages can be configured in a way that meets the need of each individual page.
Yeah, that's right. And that answered a follow-up question I was going to ask, which is those pages that you showed that were default to the theme as you created the site. Win, correct me if I'm wrong, you'll generally get those 4 default pages shown?
Correct.
Right.
Yeah, and if you don't need those, if you want to start with a blank canvas, you can come into your list of pages and click these 3 dots and, throw those away. So, sometimes people like to just have a completely blank canvas and then work to add pages as they come up. But yeah, by default, you will have that home, the about, the contact, and the blog page.
Yeah, and then it's worth noting, as Win just showed, when you create a new page now, there's just a great library of pre-built page layouts that can help you create a new about page, a new contact page, a new services page. So all these pages are here to help you get started quickly, but you can customize them because they're each built with blocks, or you can just scrap them and start with new pages exactly to your liking. Okay, and then one more kind of general question. This is a good one from Evelyn, but I think it's a pretty universal one. It's kind of about the purpose of your site. So Evelyn wrote, I've been told I need a writer's website with a long bio. I have a blog. Should the website with long bio be separate from my blog site?
So for that, I would suggest having a page on your site for about. It's good for a few reasons. One, it helps teach your visitors, who you are, what the site is all about. And it's also good for search engines, to teach them what the site is about. If you're blogging about, cooking and you have recipes and you specialize in, A, B, and C, including that in your about page can help add some keywords to the overall site, which can help Google learn what it's about. And then within your site, you could have, home, about, blog, and contact, similar to how this was set up originally. With the about page is just kind of an additional resource for people to learn who you are, what the site is all about. So
Great.
No,
and when we had 1 or 2 questions, what's the name of your theme? I didn't catch it as you were back on.
I believe this one's called Heaver. Let's take a look. So if we go to themes here, yep, Heaver.
Great.
Yep.
Heaver. Okay, cool. And then next question, where's the navigation on the homepage? And I think the way to tackle this one is to show in the customizer or wherever else you would do it, how you go about creating menu or navigation for your site.
So within that checklist where I added the site title, there's also an option to create a menu. So I already did it as part of jumping around into the customizer, but this My Home section will have a quick link over to the site menu. But you'll access this by going into Customize and then Menus. And then this is where you can build out the structure of your site. And it'll also show you, you can see that this particular theme has 3 different menu locations. So it's got our primary menu, which is this item here. It's also got a footer menu. So if we select that primary menu, we could also show that at the footer. And this can be helpful for some pages that you don't necessarily want in your primary menu, but you might want them down here. So I see this being used for people when they have, a privacy policy or, an affiliate notice. They'll add a link to their privacy policy down here because they don't necessarily want it taking up space here. And then you'll click into each menu. So this is our primary. This is where we'll come to make any changes to this menu item here. And you can click and drag to rearrange things or click reorder. And then I'm a big fan of kind of nesting items within each other. So like my example during that very quick demo of adding a category under my blog. So just real quick, it'll only take a second here, but if we open up a blog post, so let's just open up one of these existing posts. And then let's assign this to a new category for mowing, right? So now we've got a category for lawn mowing since we'll be blogging about that. Let's just update this post. So now when we go back into that menu, this will start to help kind of show how you can lay things out. If we go back into our primary menu, we could add a new item for that category, mowing, and then bring it up and below the blog. So now if someone's interested in my blog, they can go to the blog page and see every post I've ever written. Or if they're just interested in learning about how this dog mows a lawn, they can drill down into that specific menu item and just get to posts that have been assigned to that category.
Perfect. Okay, we're going to zoom out with this next one when the question is, can you summarize working on developing a site while completely offline, i.e. without a URL or without a domain, and then transferring the whole thing to a domain? And I think the way to think of that one is, what's your recommended flow as you start to build your site, customize it? When do you attach it to a domain, a custom domain if you want? When do you press publish? When do you launch it?
Sure. So right now you can see I've got the .wordpress.com URL there. And that's because I haven't registered a domain for this business yet. So when you're ready to do that, or if you have an existing one, you can come into the domain section here, add domain, select which domain if you already own the domain, you can say I own this and decide whether you want to transfer that registration to wordpress.com or leave it registered where it currently is and just point it towards wordpress.com. As far as when to get the domain and when to launch the site, it really depends. I always suggest, the sooner you can launch a site, the better, just because it does take time to start showing up in search results, especially for new sites. It can take weeks, sometimes months for a new site, for Google, for the different search engines to pick up on that content and start to figure out where it makes sense to fit within their results. So the domain piece, I would suggest get that set up. If you're bringing an existing site over, that will change that a little bit, but you can add that and then still wait to launch the site. So if we go back to this My Home section, this is where you'll come to launch the site. So in short, the sooner you can launch, the better, just because it does take time for Google to find a site. And even if you're not, it's not at 100%, I still recommend you launch it just because of that kind of the delay that it takes to start showing up in these different search engines. And then you can continue to revise and add content. So once you basically have the structure of the site, some content added to your about, your services, those different pages, a few blog posts added, launch the site, get a domain registered and get it out there so it can start to be indexed by these different search engines.
Yeah, I love that advice. Of course, it depends on what business or what mission or purpose you have for your site, but I agree, the sooner the better that you launch, because also sometimes when you delay, you just keep trying to make it perfect, and you may never launch. So don't be afraid to launch. A couple more questions. Great questions keep rolling in. We're doing our best to keep up with them. We'll tackle some afterwards. Here's one from Farhan. Can we earn from the WordPress.com free plan So Win, I'll ask you that planned question in just a second. I also want to point out, last week we did a webinar on various ways to make money on your WordPress.com site. You can actually find that full-length webinar on the page that you registered for this one, WordPress.com/webinars. It's called E-commerce 101, and we covered both payments and WooCommerce. And then later this week, we're doing more of these sessions on both payments, which I believe is tomorrow, and then WooCommerce later on in the week. So some good overviews coming up on earning, but just from a plans standpoint, Win, do you know at what level those?
Yeah, so there's we have an ad network called Word Ads where it'll put display ads throughout a site, and you can apply for that with some of the lower level plans. The one thing to keep in mind is that it will need a custom domain. So, for example, if we come to Tools and then Earn here, you can see earn ad revenue. With the premium plan, you'll be added automatically. And then with some of those lower plans, you can still apply, but with the stipulation that you need a custom domain on the site there. So.
Great, thank you so much. One more pretty specific question. This one's from Nicole. Nicole said, can you show us how to link images? How to make images a link to your site? And do you build the page first, or can you link the image first and then go back and create the page?
That's a good question. I would add it to an existing page. So say you had a blog post here. Let's open up one of these posts, and you wanted to link. A common reason people will sometimes link is to an affiliate link or to another article. But if we add an image here, so we'll select our image block. We'll go to the media library. We'll select this image here from our free photo library. So if you click on the image, you'll see a small link icon here. So this is how you can insert a link to the image. So you can either link it to the, media or the attachment file. So that would just open up, the full size image. Or if you paste a URL in here, that will link it. So for example, let's just link this over to our contact page. So you can paste the URL in there, add that link. Now, if we update this and preview, we click on that, that'll take us over to the contact page. And you can also, you'll see that same link icon if you want to link text. So, say you wanted to link this first sentence, you could highlight that, click that same link icon, paste your link in there, decide if you want that to open in a new tab, and then press the little return arrow there to link an image or link text. And then just remember, anytime you do something like this, you'd want to update the post or the page to effectively, save that change on the live site.
Excellent, excellent. I'm looking for one more good question to ask. I wanted to, there's a menu question here from Carissa. When we add the links to social media, the social media menu, are those already linked, or do we have to go in and add these links? So when maybe you can show us that other type of menu if it's in this theme.
Yeah, let's do it. That's a good question. So you will need to grab your specific social media links, and then you'll go into menu. So we'll go to customize, menus, and then into our social media menu here. And you can see that we have some placeholders. So you'll open these up and then you'll click in, facebook.com/example. And then that's how you would link the Facebook account. So right now they're just some placeholder links. So you'll want to come in here and add or remove any items that you need by swapping out this URL here.
I love it. Yeah, and I do consider this a pretty early stage question, because as you get launched, you want to start amplifying your content to your audience, and then of course bringing your social audiences back to your site. So that's a great question.
And then one more thing real quick along those lines, while I'm on that social media and connecting to increase traffic in a few different ways. If you come to this marketing section and then connections, this is where you can connect different social media accounts. So if you want your post to automatically be shared on Facebook, cutting out a manual step, you can connect a Facebook account. And then anytime you publish something new, that's going to share out to Facebook. There's also a sharings buttons here. And this is different than your social media menu because these are what are going to show below your blog posts. So it's just giving people the option to share on Facebook or Twitter, or there's even an option to give people to print your blog posts. So you'll customize those there. So there's a few different ways that you can connect social media to the site. So the social media menu and then marketing, there's a few different options within this section.
Fantastic. And I have one quick, perfect, easy one to end on. And again, so many good questions continue to come in. We're going to stick around and answer more after the show. But Gunnar asks, can I change the layout of my web page once it's published? I think this kind of goes back to what we talked about earlier. I say keep considering your website this living, breathing thing that is always being changed and updated. But how do you look at that question?
Yeah, so there's a couple different options. You can definitely change it however you'd want. You know, once it's live, you can come in here and switch to a different theme altogether. Another thing you could do is you could add a new page and then title this. Let's just say it with one of these homepage layouts. So let's say you wanted this as your new layout. So we could use this layout here. And then instead of publishing the page, just save it as a draft, and then you can work on it. And then once it's, it's all shined up, all the I's are crossed, or all the I's are dotted, T's are crossed, you could then publish this page. So home, save a draft, make sure it's all in a good place, you're happy with it. Once you publish, you could then come back here and set this as your new home page. So save it as a draft until it's ready to go. Once it's ready, set that new one as your home page, and then that'll take care of it for you.
Excellent. And hey, with that, I want to make sure we end pretty close to on time. Really, really great talk. A couple quick notes to close us up. Huge thanks to Kate for answering many, many questions behind the scenes. Again, we'll stick around and answer some more good questions that are sitting in the Q&A. I want to encourage everyone, check out that same website that you registered for today, wordpress.com/webinars. We'll be doing other topics throughout this week, and then we'll be repeating this topic and the other topics in the weeks to come. So it's a lot for one day, it really is, but I can't thank Win enough for walking us through how he launches a site, working with our users day in, day out. Join us again tomorrow, join us again next week. Check out those other webinars we've already published. We'll share out the video from today, and you can always visit wordpress.com/support, or do it from right here in your My Home, as Win showed earlier, right down there in the lower right. And wrapping us up, thank you, Win, so very much. Did you have fun?
Yeah, it was good. Thank you all. Apologies for the image issue at the start of it, but it was great.
Well,
so thanks for everyone for being here.
Thank you for sharing Bubba with us today, Win. Have a great day, everybody. Thanks again.
Thanks, everyone.